Hello everybody and welcome to Omnipoke, the channel that brings you guys everything Pokemon. I'm Jack and today I have my first post-Roaring Skies deck analysis for you guys. And it's going to be on Manectric Crobat. Quite an interesting combination that is basically designed to sort of stand up to Mega Rayquaza and still have a decent matchup across the board against other things like Toads and a couple of other decks. Before I get straight into the deck analysis though, I would like to point out that unfortunately, after opening about 150 packs online between both me and Joe, we still have no Shaymins. So as you can see up here, this is a 58 card deck at the moment. The other two cards are Shaymins. There should be two Shaymins sitting right here, but unfortunately as I don't own them, I can't actually put them in the deck. But I don't feel I need to explain Shaymin too much to you guys anyway, because you all know how good Shaymin is. It's basically just with fan clubs and ultra balls, it's a searchable draw up to 6 cards really, which is just insane. So I whilst I don't have it in the deck, I don't feel it needs too much justification. So if you're wondering what these other two cards are, they are indeed two Shaymin EXs, and as soon as I get some Shaymins, I'm going to be posting some battle videos with this deck because it's a lot of fun to play. But onto the actual cards that we do have in the deck. We have 4 Manectric EX. No Mega Manectric, we're just relying purely on the Manectric EX. Overrun is a pretty nice attack. It's a little bit of a dumbed down hammerhead that you see on Landorus EX, but it can still be pretty good. And obviously both Overrun and Assault Laser have weakness on Rayquaza and Mega Rayquaza, so they're going to be doubling the damage anyway. We also play, as you know, the bats and some muscle bands, which you can probably see down in the corner. So Overrun can still hit pretty hard, but the big thing you're going to want to be using is Assault Laser. 2 energy, 60, and if they've got a tool, another 60. So a lot of Mega Rayquaza players are going to be sticking the Spirit Link straight away onto their Rayquaza straight away to be able to Mega Evolve them in one turn. And if they do indeed do that and don't have an Altaria out, we can actually Assault Laser to one-shot them for just 2 energy, which is really, really efficient. And can be quite painful for them because it can sometimes be quite difficult to consistently set up Rayquazas, as I have experienced in the past. So a devastating 240 out of pretty much nowhere can really hurt the Rayquaza player. We also, as you can see down here, play Headringers. So we can actually control sometimes whether they have a tool on them. The Rayquaza player may decide to waste the turn Mega Evolving anyway, just so he doesn't have to rely on the tool. But we can then use our own Headringers to actually increase the damage with Assault Laser. And even if we can't get an Assault Laser off, Headringer is just really good early game against both sides. Well, a lot of the new EXs, but Seismitoad as well, meaning that they often can't get the turn 1 lockdown with Quaking Punch, because they need 3 energy rather than 2, so a DCE just doesn't cut it. So yeah, Headringers can really help us manipulate the Assault Laser attack, which is really good. Then we've got a 4-4-3 Crobat line, just for sort of more damage manipulation. The Crobat line is pretty important for taking out Swablues and Altarias early on, just to make sure the Mega Rayquaza player doesn't get the Clear Humming ability into play, and making sure that sort of there's no way you're not going to be knocking out these Rayquazas pretty quickly. And Crobat's also pretty good for just sort of knocking out bench sitters like Aromatisse and Slurpuff, because they're still around, and with the bonus damage from, or the extra 20 from Assault Laser, so not Assault Laser, sorry, Overrun, again this damage can rack up pretty quickly, especially with a 4-3 line. It's quite a thick back line, simply because the deck can afford to have them in there. The deck is really, really simple, and it's all about consistency. So the more bats we have, the quicker we're going to be able to take out these bench sitters and stop our opponent's strategy getting set up. But Pokemon-wise, that's actually it. Like I say, the deck's designed to be consistent, and there's no sort of gimmicks with it. It's just getting the cards you need as quickly as possible and taking prizes as quickly as possible. The deck is a pretty quick deck. Onto the trainers, I've gone for Computer Search as the ace spec, but obviously when you've got bats in here, Scoop Up Cyclone is definitely a worthy inclusion if you're not keen on the flips with Super Scoop Ups. But I feel with Computer Search it just helps with getting sort of set up quicker and being able to take out your opponent's sort of speed decks as quick as they can take out you. And it also helps search for the turn 1 head ringer. It's another out to Shaymin. There's just loads of uses for Computer Search. And I just feel it's probably the best for getting set up as quickly as possible to be able to compete effectively in the prize trade. I've then gone for a 3 repeat ball and 4 ultra ball split. I really like repeat ball when it comes to bats because you can repeat ball once or twice and ultra ball, and you can all of a sudden have 3 or 4 Zubats in one turn for your opponent to deal with, meaning that you're going to be getting some snipes around the board at some point, which is really strong. And then ultra ball, obviously, again, works so well with the Shaymin EX because you discard 2 cards from your hand and the ultra ball, and you get the Shaymin. So it's pretty much you're automatically getting 4 cards if you can use an ultra ball, and you're grabbing a Shaymin, providing they're the only cards in your hand. So yeah, ultra ball's just really strong, and obviously it searches out any of the pieces of Crobat that you need as well. I've gone for 3 Super Scoop Up. Again, if you don't like flips, I do have an AZ in here. You could up that to 2 and take away a Super Scoop Up, but I feel the Super Scoop Ups are better for consistency, and also they can be used as healing and avoiding things like Mega Latios taking prizes on your Shaymin EXs, and then reusing your Shaymin EXs too. You sometimes don't want to waste that supporter for your turn with AZ, so you want to be super scooping up, to get a few more cards and hopefully get into what you need to be able to take big knockouts quickly. And also, yeah, like I said, healing the Manectrics is really important because of the low energy cost. You can often pick up a Manectric and drop it back down and have it go live and ready to do big damage, if not the same turn, the turn after. If you want to be using Assault Laser, which is really strong. Onto the sort of supporter line, I've got 3 VS Seeker just because I feel 3 is pretty important now, and we do run quite a few low counts of supporters, as you can see here. We've got 1 AZ simply for the bats, just because AZ is one of the best supporters when it comes to playing bats, because you get all of your bats back for free, and you can put the bats straight back down, so by the next turn you can be goal batting, and if you've already got bats sort of established, you can be Crobatting as well. So it can be up to an extra 50 damage just with 1 AZ, which is really strong. Obviously, 2 Chorus. Now that Skyfield's been released, I feel Chorus is probably one of the best supporters in the game. Just because you can sometimes be drawing up to 16, which is absolutely insane. I don't think there's ever been a supporter that's done that, at least not since I've been playing. So I feel I dropped the N count to 3 and up the Chorus count to 2. Which I've done in a lot of decks lately just because of how strong Chorus becomes. 2 Lysander, again, Donphan and Gengar are pretty big, or are going to be pretty big I think, because of they can abuse Wobbuffet's ability. So you want to be able to get rid of these bench sitters, and you can also combine it with Crobats to bring up something your opponent doesn't want, and then use Crobats to snipe the bench and leave something stuck in the active that they're going to struggle to deal with, and you can just sort of use that to your advantage. I've also got a trump card in here, simply because if you run through your bats quickly, searching for Shaymins or Manectrics, they're not completely useless for that game. You can be able to trump card them back in later on, which is pretty useful. Obviously the deck isn't sort of a speed variant, as you can see. There's no acrobikes or trainer's mail or anything like that, so you're not going to be going mental with getting rid of all of your bats turn 1 just to search for this this Manectric, and the energy and things like that. But if you do have to get rid of any of the parts in being able to sort of survive an extra turn or whatever, you always have the safety net of having trump card and then 3 VS Seeker to make sure you can get the bats back and be able to continue sort of doing the snipe damage and helping you with the numbers to take out the knockouts. Again, 3N I've just dropped simply because Colress just becomes better than N in a lot of situations now. I still feel 3N is a good number, and but I don't think I'd go to 4, especially with 2 Colress, because that then becomes 6 sort of hand refresh, and hand refresh isn't always as good as straight up draw. So I feel 5's the right number at the moment for hand refresh cards. Probably the weirdest of the supporters, I actually run 2 fan clubs in here. Again, just for sort of swarming the Zubats turn 1. If you can get 2 or 3 Zubats out in a turn, your opponent is often going to find it hard to deal with all of them, if not 2 of them. Sometimes they can only take out 1, meaning that you can start building your bats straight away, and you're not going to be worrying too much about whether they're going to survive into the later turns. If you can get a few out at once, you can really sort of lay back and let one or two of the bats go, because you know you're going to have some bats left over to be able to evolve into the Golbats and Crobats and increase your damage again. And obviously, Fan Club can actually search out Shaymin, which is pretty much one of the best ways of finding Shaymin at the moment. You can Fan Club to get another basic and a Shaymin, bench the basic, and then Shaymin for however many cards. So Fan Club basically becomes a draw supporter in itself if you've got Shaymins in the deck and a lower hand than a lower than 6 hand. So yeah, Fan Club is definitely a good inclusion with the fact that we want to swarm bats and we have Shaymins in the deck. And then finally Forge Juniper, just because Forge Juniper is pretty much standard practice in every deck at the moment. Finally, we've got 3 Muscle Band just for the extra numbers with Overrun and Assault Laser. Assault Laser can do 140, and with a Crobat that can kill quite a few EXs out there at the moment. It can kill 1 or 2 big sort of prevalent EXs with the 140 and the 30, taking it up to 170, and then Overrun becomes 40-20, which is not quite as good as a Hammerhead, but 40-20 is still nothing to sniff at, especially turn 1. And again, when you're sort of damaging bench sitters, you can then use the Golbats and Crobats to take out the remnants of what you've left on the board, and hopefully you can sometimes get 2 or 3 prize turns with the deck as well, which is a lot of fun, and it really helps with sort of sweeping in a turn, because the Muscle Band can often help with the maths there. And finally, the 3 Head Ringers, as I explained a little bit earlier on, it just helps with setting up Assault Laser, and it's just in general a really trolly card that can stop your opponent for sometimes a turn or 2. It really hurts Mega Pokemon, just because it means they, 1, can't use their Spirit Links, and 2, still have to pay that extra energy. And it can sometimes completely shut down one of your opponent's Pokemon, and they have to start sort of building up a different one instead, just because the detriment of this Head Ringer can often cause them. It's too strong of a card for them to be able to deal with, and they have to sort of build up another Mega instead. So that, with the inclusion of it increasing our damage with Assault Laser, I feel 3 is a pretty good inclusion. And obviously with 3 it means you're going to be getting into them a bit quicker, and you're going to be more likely to, you're going to have them in your opening hand a lot more against Seismitoad, which means if you're going first you can often stop a Quaking Punch turn 1, meaning that you can get an extra turn of trainers, which can sometimes really make or break a game with Seismitoad. And then finally, as you can see, we've just got 8 Lightning Energy. There's no real special energy that the deck needs at all, so I've just kept it simple and gone for 8 Lightning Energy, because obviously Crobat is, the Crobat line's colourless, Shaymin is colourless, and Manectric only needs 1 Lightning. You really don't need anything special in the deck. But yeah, like I say, the deck is really simple, the concept's really simple. It's just sort of go aggressive and take out your opponent's Pokemon as quickly as possible with snipe damage and the sneaky bite and surprise bite. the damage can get up pretty quickly. It's not quite as hard hitting as Landobats, but because of the weakness that Rayquaza has, it can sometimes still hit huge numbers, and definitely has a better Rayquaza matchup than Landorus Bats does. But yeah, like I say, it's unfortunate that I don't have the Shaymins, because otherwise I'd record a battle for you guys. But as soon as I get the Shaymins, I'm definitely going to do sort of a battle compilation, 4 or 5 battles with the deck, just because I think it's a lot of fun to play. I've been testing it quite a lot lately, and it's a lot of fun to play. But bar that, there is not much else for me to say. Thank you very much for watching. I've been Jack from Omnipoke, and I will see you in another video.